Hi everyone, the small engine mechanic here. Today we are going to repair a no-start issue on this Craftsman 4-cycle snow thrower. The unit is still pretty new, so the chance that the valves or spark plug is defective is low. Since the customer left the old fuel in the carburetor from last year, we'll check the fuel system, specifically the carburetor. So we'll start off by pinching of the fuel hose from the tank with a pair of vice grips. Then, using a 10mm socket, remove the carburetor intake cover. You might have to unclamp the breather hose. Then the cover should slide off. Remove the cover gasket and inspect it for damage. Then remove the primer hose. You can test it by covering the end of the hose and push the bulb. It should pressurize the hose. Now, we're going to remove the fuel supply hose clamp. Then remove the throttle linkage and spring from the carburetor. Now remove the fuel hose. They can be a little tight. Then remove the carburetor and inspect if full obvious damage. The venturi port has residue of old dry fuel. So, let's open it up and get it cleaned out. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bowl from the carburetor. Check the bowl for any debris. Now we're going to remove the main jet and emulsion tube. Now we can pull the float pin. The needle valve will come off with the float. Now remove the idle screw. And remove the pilot valve. There is a tiny hole that we're going to need to make sure is cleared. But for now, we're going to put the parts in the ultrasonic cleaner. If you don't have access to an ultrasonic cleaner, you can always pick up a can of carburetor cleaner dipping solution from Amazon. Now that the carburetor is cleaned out, it's time to put it back together. We start with inserting the emulsion tube and main jet and tighten it till it stops. Don't try to over-tighten the jet. Now the float. Make sure the needle goes in the valve when reinstalling. Now the float pin. You might have noticed there was no bowl gasket. That because it's on the bowl. Then reinstall the bowl nut. Pilot valve and the idle screw. I turn it in until it hits the throttle lever. Just remember to tighten the bowl nut. Reconnect the fuel hose and slide the carburetor back on. Reconnect the throttle linkage and return spring. Test the throttle for easy movements. Reconnect the primer hose, intake housing gasket, cover and the two nuts, and tighten them down. Reconnect the breather hose. Release the fuel hose. Now it's time to test it. Prime it with 3 to 4 pumps. Give it a pull. And we have a running engine again. Now, we can check the auger to make sure it spins. Everything looks good. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And with that said, it looks like another one is good to go.